Ich nehme noch 3 Namensschilder.
das ausmacht, ein paar Zentimeter nach hinten, dann kriege ich den Patrick Martin auch, falls die den anwollten.
Ja, Teppich, das ist selber so schwer, ja.
Ah, super, angenehm.
Das reicht schon.
Das reicht mir schon, ja.
Okay. Und du schnappst es dir dann einfach wieder, damit du es dann wieder griffbereit hast, wenn wir durch sind. Hm? Yeah, she'll bring you the paper.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite you to take your seats? We are going to start.
Schon wieder die Bluse nicht so, wie sie sein soll. Ne? Das sehe ich doch an deinem Blick. Ja, der einer knickt auch immer ein, das weiß ich. Alles klar. Gut. Ja, ja. Okay. Hello and welcome to the heart of the European Space Operations Center, ESOC, in Darmstadt, Germany. It is a special day today for space exploration, a very special day for an amazingly bold and popular space mission that captured the hearts and minds of people around the world. Today, on September the 30th in 2016, the European Space Agency's Comet-chasing Rosetta mission is coming to an end, when the orbiter itself will land on the surface of the comet, and that will be in about 50 minutes from now. It will be the end of a mission that lasted 4,595 days in space, a mission full of superlatives and full of science. And I'm Monica Jones, and I'm happy to guide you through the program of the day, which is broadcast live on ESA TV and also streamed live on the World Wide Web. And I believe that a lot of people not far from here in a jam-packed conference room are watching this broadcast as well. Also in the press room, which is not far away from here, with loads of media representatives following this. And there are even people following this event as far away as Guadalajara in Mexico. In fact, it's the entire space community currently attending the International Astronautical Congress there. It is early in the morning there. It is 6 a.m., but that doesn't stop them from joining us. So we say a very warm hello to ESA's Director General Jan Werner. He's joining us on Skype, together with Roberto Battiston, the President of the Italian Space Agency ASI, Jean-Yves Le Gall, the President of the French Space Agency CNES, and Pascale Ehrenfreund, the Chairwoman of the Board at the German Space Agency DLR. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning here from Mexico, from Guadalajara. Okay, so I'm very happy that we can have this very important point of the mission together. So I can say, ladies and gentlemen in Germany and elsewhere, dear friends of Rosetta and Philae, this is really a great day. It is a day where we have to say, well done, Rosetta, well done, Philae. We have great achievements of these missions, of this very unbelievable mission, as I called it in between when I first heard about it. It's really a perfect thing. The launch in 2004, the arrival at Churyumov-Gerasimenko 10 years later, even after a hibernation of 31 months, then 886 days in the harsh environment of a comet coming closer and closer to the sun. Fantastic science, water, chemistry, information about our solar systems, but as Alvaro was saying, some answers, but usually as scientists are doing more new questions. Reliable technology to go there, spin-off effects and products which are used on Earth right now. And also, I have to say, especially as we are connected with ESOC, very successful operations to overcome challenges which always happen in such a mission, and in this case, with a big distance, even more difficult. So I can say to use this modern word of return of investment is the right word for this mission in a very broad sense, not only in short-term number crunching of euros. So therefore, thank you very much, Rosetta. Thank you very much, Philae. But also, thank you to the ESA member states and partners for your courage to really launch this mission with a big amount of money and with a long period of time, well beyond the own time to witness this. So that is really something we need also in the future for big projects. But also, thanks to all the people, men and women, who were dedicated to this excellent and still exciting mission. So thank you very much, and now we are going just to a small step of this mission, but it's really a giant leap for Rosetta to go down on Churyumov-Gerasimenko.
What you see on the screen is delayed 30 seconds, so don't worry. Pascale, go ahead. It's your turn. You will see yourself later. You can speak.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, good morning from Guadalajara. The European Rosetta mission has delivered really exciting new insights into the origin of our solar system by investigating one of the most ancient and authentic celestial bodies. And among the many new findings, we have measured for the first time organic molecules on a cometary surface. The German Aerospace Center has significantly contributed to the construction of the Lander Philae, and it has also operated the Lander Control Center. And Rosetta and Philae have really shown us how we can expand our horizons through space research and also how to make the public a part of what we do. So we have to say farewell to the Philae spacecraft and of course, to the Rosetta spacecraft today. But as we have seen, the mission is not over. And we have really measured an incredible challenge technically and operationally. Thank you to all the teams and best greetings from Guadalajara.
Thank you, Pascal. Hand over to Jean-Yves. And again, there will be a delay of 30 seconds. Don't worry, everything works fine. Go ahead, Jean-Yves.
Yes, good morning. I should say that we are very fortunate to participate in this event. I was in French Guiana in Kourou on the 2nd of March 2004 when with Ariane 5 we launched Rosetta, and 4,590 days later, now it's going to be the end of the life of Rosetta. But it is not at all the end of the story, because Rosetta got an incredible volume of data, and the scientists now have many years of work in front of them. So it is definitely a huge success of Europe, and the fact that all the stakeholders of Europe in space, Jan Werner, Pascal Ehrenfreund, Roberto Battiston, myself, and some other ones are here. It's a clear demonstration that when Europe is united, Europe wins. This is the first point. The second point, we have en route to an asteroid mascot, which is something as a child of Philae, and the story is continuing. And I want to say congratulations to all the teams who made this success possible. The world, the space world is looking at you, because we are here in Guadalajara, where 5,217 delegates of EISC are looking for you. And since we are in Guadalajara, hasta la vista, Rosetta.
Thank you very much, Jean-Yves, and hand it over to Roberto Battiston. Go ahead, Roberto.
Good morning to everybody. Good afternoon to the others. Rosetta and Philae, it has attracted the attention of hundreds of millions of people all over the world, because it's a mission of courage. It's the courage of the scientists, it's the courage of Europe, which put together the effort to go to this minuscule part of our solar system, but it's also the courage of the robotic activities which have been performed on surface and around the comet. This is the Europe at the best, the Europe we like, the Europe of science, technology, progress. And now the two parts of this mission, Rosetta and Philae, are back together on the comet, and are truly becoming part of our universe. This mission is leaving us with a lot of answers, but many, many more questions. This is science at the best, and we are really looking forward for continuation of the mission, exploring our incredible solar system and the universe. Now we have on this minuscule comet a lot of technology coming from Italy, the Osiris, Virti, the cameras which are on board of Rosetta, together with the driller and the other system which are on board of Philae. The two together will be a testimony forever about science, technology, and most important, international collaboration in science. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roberto. We hand over to Ezok again, and invite my guests to get back to their seats, and we keep watching ESA television production Thank you, and then we will have live from now from
in
Asia.
Darmstadt, Germany. Thank you again to everyone there in Mexico. So, a lot is happening today. We say hasta la vista and arrivederci and goodbye to a wonderful mission. It's going to be a big moment for everyone. You can feel the tension here already in the room. But let's remember two important things. For one, Rosetta carries a metal plate on board with a message in 1,000 languages, hopefully to be found and deciphered by alien missions in the future, just like the Rosetta Stone was deciphered here on Earth. And of course, today the mission comes full circle. And as we get closer to the comet, we can gather even more data, so more highlights in a mission full of highlights. We'll talk about that with Rosetta scientists later on. We'll also get some close-up images shot en route as the spacecraft descends towards the comet. Now, the touchdown happens as we speak, some 718 million kilometers out in space. You've already noticed there was a time delay between Darmstadt and Guadalajara. Well, the time delay between Earth and 718 million kilometers in space is even bigger. 40 minutes in exact. The signal from the spacecraft down to Earth takes 40 minutes at the speed of light. So let's stick with Earth time and actually show you a bit around to show you what happens here. Because here in the main control room where we are right now, of course, we're surrounded by great flight operation experts, and they watch these large screens over there. They show the health of status of ESA's ground stations. Some show the data downlink of the Rosina instrument, and we'll touch on that later as well. And one screen, that's the one in the middle, that shows us the downlink from the spacecraft. And that, of course, that chart will become crucial indicator for us today. We keep an eye on that spike for sure. And I know that the gentlemen that I've reached now here at the flight director's desk, they will certainly keep an eye on that spike over there. We can see here Andrea Accumazzo, the Rosetta flight director. We see Patrick Martin, the mission manager, and we see Sylvain Laudiot, the Rosetta spacecraft operation manager, in the middle between them. And down here as well, we see Paolo Ferri, the head of mission operations department. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Andrea Accumazzo, tell me, last night you've performed a final maneuver and directed the spacecraft from orbiting around the comet to actually go on a colliding course straight towards the comet. Did all of that work out?
Yes, right, that's correct. What we did last night was to do a maneuver to cancel the orbital velocity of Rosetta and direct it towards the comet. Now we're flying towards the comet. We have a most up-to-date estimate of the landing time is 11:19:11, and we are roughly 40 meters away from the target point. So this is an excellent performance of the maneuver.
Okay, well, we're used to excellent performances from Rosetta so far. Sylvain Laudiot, now since then, was there anything that you could have changed or change in terms of course or setting?
Good afternoon. So we did some changes a few hours ago. We optimized the pointing of the spacecraft on the way down for the last hour, and we also improved the Osiris commanding to better fit the expected impact time. Now it's too late. Impact is happening in 3 minutes.
Okay, and you're just standing here and you watch.
Correct.
But of course, in the meantime, because we spoke of that time delay, Patrick Martin, Rosetta now in the final hours of the flight, busy as a bee it's been. What do you receive right now from Rosetta?
Absolutely. The final descent is going well so far. We are in the last few minutes and we are in full science mode actually. Downlink of the science is going on right now with full priority to science. And stay tuned for the confirmation of the end of mission.
All right. And just briefly, Sylvain, how fast is Rosetta approaching the comet?
Well, we're landing at 90 centimeters per second, and we're close to that speed right now.
Okay, 90 meters per second, that's about 3 kilometers an hour?
Centimeter per second, so it's half the speed of normal walking speed.
Very, very slow indeed. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Of course, we'll catch up with you later again. In the meantime, I'm walking very, very slowly so that the cameraman doesn't fall and stumble over the cable here. And of course, the spacecraft is approaching the comet at snail's pace, and it is busy. It is making scientific measurements, and it's taking pictures, images. And that is, of course, something we're very interested in, which is why we now cross over to a room where two teams are actually sitting, two science teams are sitting in order to take sort of the final measurements. And we cross over now to Holger Sirks. He is the principal investigator of the Osiris camera that brought us all the wonderful images we've seen so far of the comet surface in Comet. Holger, what's the latest? What can you share with us now?
Well, we are extremely excited. So the images are coming down like a charm. So let me show you what we are aiming for. So the green and the red dot, this is a 2014 image. Don't wonder about the quality. Are the pits we are aiming for. The landing spot is the blue one. So we're getting closer, and we were excited with the first image already coming down at 4 o'clock this night. This was the first image of the descent, taken at 16 kilometers with our narrow-angle camera. To give you a little context, this is the NAC view, so you certainly see this area here at the Hatme depression. This is what we are aiming for in these shots. So we are 15 kilometers, ever getting closer. This is the amazing view of the local terrain at good 8 kilometers altitude at close to 7 o'clock this morning. Going a step ahead, ever closer, good 5.6 kilometers, 8 o'clock 21 this morning. The first view now of the blue dot. We will land here, and we just learned from flight dynamics it's really there. So expect really great stuff coming down. The pits were also in our view. Just this is the pit D. So we are looking already into this depression. And so from 5 kilometers, a lot details of the walls that we are after. And the last image I want to show is this. This is the detail of our pit D in high resolution from 2,500 meters distance. So it's really great, it's exciting, it's working like a charm.
It's the future home of Rosetta. Holger, just very, very briefly, after such a successful mission, why do we end it like this?
Well, it's all about science. So we want to see these images of the sidewalls because they give us clues about the origin of cometary nuclei. So that's why we do it, and that's why we get closer ever to exactly this spot that was decided by the science team of Rosetta.
All right, Holger Sierks, thank you so much for now. And of course, we look forward to many more pictures that you will show us in the course of this event. We'll get back to you. But in the meantime, I'm back here with Andrea Accomazzo, the flight director, who's just moved with me from one position, the main control room, to another. And of course, Andrea, this was quite a ride, the Rosetta mission, and there is an iconic picture of you that went all around the world. That was when Rosetta was woken up after 3 years of hibernation, and that event was already more than 2 years ago. It was an event, a mission full of challenges that you and your team had to face. I mean, really quite a ride.
Well, definitely. If you think about the Rosetta mission, was conceived in the middle of the 80s, when we knew very little about comets. We embarked on a trip of 10 years long in the solar system. We had to fly by planets to gain velocity to reach this comet with the right velocity. We flew by asteroids. We had to hibernate the spacecraft because we were flying so far away from the sun. Already the trip there was an adventure and a masterpiece of technology and engineering from all sides. All this for science.
All this for science, and you're a flight operator. But what was the biggest problem? I mean, was it the fact that it was so far away, the distance, or the complexity of the hardware? What was it?
Well, during the design of the mission, I would say the distances Rosetta had to go through, definitely. We were close to the sun, far away from the sun, so different environments. The operations at the Comet was the second big challenge. It was much more challenging than anything else. Nobody had ever done anything like this, and we are leading, we are on the front edge there.
And have you learned anything from it? Has Ops learned a lot from that mission?
Well, we have done something, as I said, nobody had ever done. We are the only ones now capable of doing something like this. And this is an achievement not only for ESA, but for mankind. We can do something like this. And this is what we have to continue doing for the coming years. We have to go the next step. We have to go for sample return missions. If we want to protect our planet from asteroids, then this is what we have to be able to do.
After all the sleepless nights, I remember some sleepless nights with various events that we did together, and all those challenges, would you do it again?
Absolutely, yes, no doubt.
No doubt about that.
No, indeed.
Okay.
This is the most fantastic mission ever.
Indeed, Andrea Accomazzo, and you were part of this fantastic mission, still are flight director of Rosetta. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And of course, yes, we all remember, of course, what an adventurous mission Rosetta was in all these years, and still for a few minutes. Let's take a look at some of the milestones.
Rosetta's journey began 12 years ago, and for the scientists behind the mission, it was even earlier. It took over 6 billion kilometres to get to the comet, using a gravitational kick from Mars and 3 planetary assists from Earth, circling the Sun almost 4 times. Rosetta studied asteroids Steins and Letitia along the way, monitored by ESTRAC ground stations around the world. The spacecraft was put into hibernation in June 2011, spinning once every 60 seconds so that the solar panels could receive as much sunlight as possible. The alarm was set to wake up Rosetta on January the 20th, 2014. Within 6 weeks of the wake-up signal, all of Rosetta's 21 instruments have been activated, 11 on the orbiter, 10 on the lander. In May 2014, Rosetta put on the brakes and, together with a series of thruster burns, reduced the relative speed between the comet and the spacecraft to just 1 metre per second, and its separation from around 20 million kilometres to just 100 kilometres. The unusual shape of the comet became clear. Rosetta arrived at the comet on August the 6th, 2014, and shortly afterwards became the first spacecraft to orbit a comet. After a landing site was decided on the head of the duck-shaped comet, Rosetta released its Philae lander, and the 7-hour descent made history. As did the multiple bounces across the comet's surface. The first mission to make a controlled landing on a comet sent back its first spectacular images of the surface. After returning its science data, the lander's prime mission was over and it went into hibernation. Despite brief communications over the summer of 2015, its position was unknown until just a few weeks before the end of the mission. Rosetta's primary objective has always been to examine and monitor a comet and to see how it changes as it nears the Sun. And on the exact moment of perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun, Rosetta was watching. Rosetta is now heading out into the colder reaches of our solar system alongside the comet. Today's controlled descent onto the comet's surface is yet another first for the boldest cometary mission in history, advancing cometary science and our understanding of the universe.
And it's all about the science. We've heard that several times in the course of this mission. That's why with me now is Matt Taylor, Rosetta's project scientist at ESA, who overlooks a vast amount of science that was made and still is being made with the Rosetta mission. Matt, if you could pick of all the data that you and your team received, what was the most surprising finding?
That's a tough one to pick what we've been doing in the last couple of years. I think one of the big surprises was the shape of our duck. We've seen comets like that before, but this duck was striking. It was formed by 2 smaller comets colliding at low velocity. We then started to look deeper into it, this dark object covered in dust, full of organics. The implications are all over the place. The fact that we found water there, but it wasn't the same as Earth. But fundamentally important, going back to the organics again, this stuff could have been delivered by comets to the Earth and formed the ingredients for life, and how that started. It's brilliant.
And because science is always a bit scientific, sometimes too scientific for some people who follow it and are so interested in the Rosetta mission, we prepared a little video in order to just summarize some of the key findings. Then we talk again.
Yeah.
Rosetta's instruments, 11 on the orbiter, 10 on the lander, have transformed our understanding of cometary science. They've sniffed gases, collected particles, examined the comet across the electromagnetic spectrum, seen how it interacted with the solar wind, and scrutinised the comet's activity, tails and coma as it approached and moved away from the Sun, an unprecedented achievement. We had considered comets as dirty snowballs, covered in patches of ice, but Rosetta has meant we've had to rethink this picture due to a lack of strong evidence for ice on the comet's surface. Instead, the ice is buried, covered by a layer of dust. This dust layer means that the comet is very dark, reflecting only a small fraction of the light that falls on it. The Vertis instrument, a visible and infrared spectrometer, revealed how water is transported from within the comet to its surface via sublimation, where water changes from ice to a gas without a liquid phase. This process provides a frost layer which is replenished each comet rotation. The OSIRIS camera and VIRTIS have also found more persistent ice deposits on the surface in regions near cliff-like structures. It may look rocky, but the comet is so light and porous it could float on water, with surface temperatures falling below -100 degrees C. Gases streaming from the comet include hydrogen sulfide and methane, and there are pits containing walls hundreds of metres high. These walls revealed layers that helped scientists determine that the comet was formed by a slow collision between two smaller comets. It has no magnetic field, and gases detected include molecular oxygen, hydrogen sulfide, and for the first time found on a comet, argon. The two Rosina mass spectrometers revealed that comets like 67P may not have been a dominant source of water for our planet in the early solar system, because its water has a different isotopic ratio. But organic molecules discovered at Comet 67P, such as the amino acid glycine, tell us that comets could have played a role in the emergence of life on Earth.
And that is indeed exciting. Matt Taylor, Rosetta's project scientist at ESA. What does all this mean? Has any of the data really changed our understanding of how the solar system came about?
Yeah, Rosetta's blown it all open. It's made us have to change our ideas of what comets are, where they came from, and the implications of how the solar system formed and how we got to where we are today. And we've only, like Philae, just scratched the surface. And it's important to note, Rosetta mission is both the lander and the orbiter. Together, they have made it possible to do the science, to make the breakthroughs that we have. And we have only just scratched the surface. We have decades of work to do on this data. So the spacecraft may end, but the science will continue. That's what we were here. That's what we're here for. That's what this mission was for.
And that's a beautiful message, especially on a day like today. Matt Taylor?
A sad day.
Yeah,
but a happy day.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of both. There's always two sides to every coin. Matt Taylor, thank you so much. And by the way, just to give you an idea about the huge harvest of science that Rosetta has delivered there, Rosetta has triggered a total of 672 science papers since the launch, just 119 this year alone, with another 50 in the pipeline. So, as we just heard from Matt Taylor, it is just beginning, the science part of it. And talking of science, it's time to go back to Holger Sirks, whose team is processing the images that the spacecraft is taking during the descent. Rosetta is about 30 minutes away from touchdown right now. So, Holger, I'm sure you've got some new and amazing pictures for us.
Well, it's a bit hectic here these minutes. So we are at a good 2 kilometers altitude now. So what we prepared is a view by the wide-angle camera, so a wide-angle shot of this landing area. The pit D over here, the pit E over there. Landing will happen there in the upper right. So that's a cool overview. So we focus right now on the main part of pit D. And zooming in with our telecamera, so this is what we see. So the side walls of this pit already. So with the structures, thermally processed, goose-bumped, whatsoever. So we will work on these images for the next years, so we get great detail down of the whole area as expected. So imagine we are more than 700 million kilometers away. We have to compress those images to the utmost, so 1/20, so they are not as crisp anymore as we are used to have them. But it's great detail and good science to be expected from there.
Okay, brilliant. Holger, thank you so much for this. And obviously, we won't let you go before all this is over today. We'll come back to you later again. But I would like to turn now to the other team that's sharing the room with you. And there we should very soon see Katrin Altweg. She is the principal investigator of the Rosina instrument, and that is receiving data from Rosetta right now as we speak. I mean, 7 instruments on board of Rosetta. Of those, 11 are still working, very, very busy. And if we remember, the Rosina instrument brought a breakthrough in science in deciphering the chemical composition of the comet. Katrin Altweg is from the university in Bern, and hopefully she can hear me now, and hopefully she can tell us a bit and comment a bit on the kind of data that she receives from Rosetta.
I have still 2 of the Rosina sensors on. That's the mass spectrometer DFMS, and it's also the COPS sensor with 2 gauges, the NUC gauge and the RAM gauge. What you see here is the pressure. So it's the density in the atmosphere of the comet, and it rises and rises since this morning. We are still at not very high pressures. I expect it to rise by another factor 2 before we land. From these curves, we will really get a cut through the whole atmosphere of the comet. We will understand how dust is accelerated. We will see all the regions which were postulated by the modelers and then constrain their models with these last measurements. And I think it's a unique opportunity to do that.
Wow. Katrin Altweg, thank you so much. Unique opportunity indeed. Actually, let's sum this up. I mean, this part of the mission, the fact that Rosetta is landing on the comet, that was never really planned. That was never envisaged in the first place. It was a decision by the scientists in the end, wanting to make the best use of those wonderful instruments on board, instruments like the Osiris camera or Rosina, as the Rosetta spacecraft gets so close to the comet, a risk that one could not have taken earlier. And so this is wonderful. And we see, of course, in the course of now this broadcast, also the images and the results of all the data that we receive from the spacecraft in those last minutes. Actually, talking of minutes, we have about 27 minutes to go until we get the signal that Rosetta touched down. And I think this is a good moment to revisit another major highlight in this mission. And that, of course, was the landing of little Philae in November 2014. And it was a short-lived, but a very, very, very successful mission. The data that Philae managed to gather was quite impressive. Take a look.
On the 12th of November 2014, Rosetta's Philae lander made history by performing the first ever controlled landing on a comet. The lander then sent back the first ever images from the surface of a comet and undertook 60 hours of science. It wasn't all plain sailing. The harpoons didn't fire on landing, and as Philae wasn't anchored, it bounced across the surface of the comet. When the lander finally came to rest, its position meant Philae couldn't drill into the soil to collect samples for the different instruments. Instead, they went into sniffing mode, analysing the gases surrounding the comet and from scattered dust grains. But Philae completed 80% of its planned science, with measurements from multiple landings across several locations providing unexpected benefits. The bounces allowed scientists to compare measurements across the comet of, for example, the comet nucleus's magnetic field. By working with the orbiter, Philae has helped scientists understand how the comet's interior is formed. Radio waves were transmitted between the lander and orbiter to see how they were reflected and transmitted through the comet's nucleus. The smaller lobe where Philae landed was found to be fairly homogeneous. This sort of information, especially knowing how hard the surface is, will be crucial for any future missions involving a comet sample return. Philae went into hibernation after completing its science mission. Apart from several brief periods of contact over the summer of 2015, the lander has been silent, position unknown. And then, less than a month before the end of the mission, Rosetta found Philae, on its side, wedged in a dark crack of the comet. It's now time to say farewell to both the orbiter and its lander, before Rosetta joins Philae for its final resting place on the comet's surface.
And we'll talk to the man who is responsible that we could find Philae in just a moment. But first, I would like to cross over to our big conference room, which isn't far away from here, where Jocelyne Landau-Constantin, she's ESA's head of communications office, is on stage and surrounded by a lot of mission engineers, VIPs. Jocelyne, can you hear me? Tell us what's happening.
We are hearing you loud and clear, and I have with me Jean-Pierre, and I'm going to ask you the only question that is difficult. What is the best result of Philae?
Jocelyn, supposedly I would ask you what are the best moments in your life. You will not be able to pick him one, right?
Yes, now.
That's
right now.
exactly where we are. Philae was so fruitful, successful, that it's difficult, barely I can extract one. Maybe the first thing I would say that Philae within Rosetta has entirely changed our view of what a comet is. Comet is not an icy ball with molecules and grains inside. Comets have been built with a matrix of organic matter formed during the collapse of the clouds through a chemistry which is so important and complex that probably you have all the ingredients in this comet that we see on our images that when immersed in the oceans probably led life to emerge. But beyond the understanding of what a comet is, Philae within Rosetta has also tell us all the processes that really shape the solar system to drive the diversity in which we are now. And it's really changing paradigms, in particular that, to me, was important. What is the transition from inert to living species? And this changed a lot of things from habitability, for example, and that paved the route for the new missions we are in now, the exploration of Mars, the small bodies, Europas, Ganymede, exoplanets. We have now to address questions which are entirely different from those we had prior for Philae and Rosetta to be there. So I think we couldn't dream of a more successful mission.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. So, ladies and gentlemen, decision makers, there is room for another mission, obviously,
Absolutely.
and many more missions.
For many more, yes.
Thank you very much. We are going to go back to the control room.
All right, Jocelyn, I can hear you. And more missions, we like to hear that. But let's stick with the one that we're still covering at the moment, the Rosetta mission. And Philae, of course, was a big, big part of it. Next to me is Lorenzo Roque. He's been the search coordinator for Philae in the past 2 years. It was your persistence, I said earlier, that made it possible to find Philae. Tell us about it.
Indeed, it wasn't an easy job. I mean, already after the landing, we had a very good idea where it actually had finally landed. It landed in an area which had a lot of rocks, very full of ice. As we started getting closer this year, we managed to find some candidates, some locations which looked like the lander, and you can see this in the image which we're showing now. Hopefully, which there's a blue one and a red one.
And which one was it?
It was the red one, and the red one was already identified as our favourite. It was defined as the best candidate from June of last year, and we spent a lot of time this year trying to get images of this red candidate. But the problem is it's between a rock and a hard place.
Came on September the 2nd, not that long ago.
Absolutely, and what a beautiful image it is. It's so rewarding for the team. It was a big team across many projects, across the Rosetta project, but across many teams, and it was so great. But what's important is the fact we found it. We found it, and it gives context. It gives local context for the science that was the fabulous science produced by Philae. It was delighted, and it's really great to have found it before the end of the mission.
I just wanted to say, Lorenzo Roque, thank you so much to you and your team that you did find Philae. Made us all very happy. Thank you. Well, talking of images, we just saw great images. Of course, this is the moment where we want to go back to Holger Sirks, who has his Osiris camera, the eye of the camera on the comet as Rosetta is approaching it fast. Holger, what's the exact altitude now? How do we know that?
Well, we are already at about 1,000 meters, so closer than ever before. So we haven't processed those images yet, so they will come in a very few minutes. So what we have built up here is a mosaic of the marred raster with the narrow-angle camera. So don't wonder about the resolution. You see the 5x4 images put together not nicely just as they came down. So you see one pit over here, the deep pit over there, and the expected landing site over there. So we've got all those imageries and all those images at high res down, and we will do a better job in stitching them. So if we now looked into the detail of the pit D, with the slightly slewing spacecraft to the best resolution of the narrow-angle camera, this is what you see on the ground of that pit.
Okay.
So the ground, the wall, lots of stuff that just fell off, broke off cliff. So it's great, it's coming down, and it's super duper. I lost my clip.
That's why you can't hear me,
So
Holger.
I can't hear you anymore.
That's why you can't hear me. Then I'm not going to ask you the next question. I'll ask you the next time when we go over there. And I'm staying now with a gentleman who is right next to me now in the main control room. Of course, we know him, Mark McCaughrean, the ESA Senior Science Advisor to the Director of Science. And we've always been wondering throughout those years why Rosetta, why this mission has managed to get such a huge following in the media and in the general public. Why do you think that is?
I think there's two main parts to that story, really. One is that it's a mission that's about us as human beings. It's about our birthplace in the solar system. It's about the planet Earth and how water and life may have come here. So I think obviously people can associate with that. But it's a journey. There's Rosetta and Philae, 10 years through the solar system. Our protagonists, they've had their ups and downs. They've had their bumps. They've had their bounces. We know that. And of course, in this room, when Philae's battery ran out in 2014, emotion around the world, social media was just enormous. And I think today we've been working with lots of people, you know, listening to people, and they're very sad today. But I think they really understand how proud we are and how proud they should be that we've really pulled this mission off.
Exactly, and I think some of those voices we will hopefully be able to see on tweets, because do you remember during the landing of Philae there were something like 10 tweets a second coming in, and I think we don't do that badly today either. There is a hashtag, Twitter hashtag, it's Comet landing, obviously, and there we see some tweets, but they're not, the resolution is not brilliant for me right now. So is there a chance that Rosetta will bounce? Mark, can you tell us?
Well, it's a little bit like the old story about a tree falling over in the forest. If there's nobody there to hear it, will you actually, does it make a sound? It may well bounce. You know, the predictions are it's a certain possibility, but we won't know.
We won't know.
Because we turn off when we touch the surface.
Yeah.
We may have the slightest information. But yes, it's a good possibility.
I like to imagine it bounces towards Philae and then they are reunited again.
It's got a long way to go for it to do that. But, you know,
it's bigger.
This is space. Anything can happen out there.
Okay, Mark McCaughrean there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's time again to cross over to the ESA conference room because Jocelyn, who we've just seen, she is surrounded by some mission veterans. They've been there forever, certainly with the Rosetta mission. John Elwood, Gerhard Schwem, Manfred Warhaut and Alan Smith, and they all have something to say, I believe.
Thank you. Alan should join us as well, and Gerhard, you know, is probably surrounded by a lot of media asking plenty of questions. They're all coming. They're colleagues, they are friends. They've been with the mission for a very, very long time. And I'm going to start with Gerhard. Gerhard, you started in the 80s with this mission. And what is the first thing that comes to your mind? We're very close to the end. Did you think it would have been such a successful mission?
No, when we started, everybody, I think a lot of people thought we are crazy to go in such an ambitious mission. And for me today, I'm just proud that the project is coming to an end. And we were ambitious. I think we delivered what we wanted to do. We had high hopes. And today, I think we got out more of this mission than we ever thought. And it's a great day. And I think with all these happy scientists, we must have done the right thing.
John, you were the project manager. Was it a piece of cake?
Absolutely. I mean, when I look about the results that have come out in the last 2 years and then think about the 2 years that happened before we actually launched the spacecraft, it's absolutely amazing the number of hours, the night shifts that industry put in to get this spacecraft to the launch ready to go. In fact, it was ready to go a year early, but you know, it's absolutely amazing to think back on that, and this obviously brings back all those memories, and what a fantastic way to finish the mission.
Manfred, this is finito, by the end.
Yeah, I must say today I'm a bit irritating. Normally I wait a signal to appear, like 2.5 years ago, when we were waiting for the wake-up. And today we wait for the signal to disappear, which is then demarking basically the end of the Rosetta mission. But nevertheless, I can tell you on this mission, was always big excitement and a lot of success and a lot of people who made it happen.
Alan, you were flight director. So it all
yes,
started with
12 years ago I was a flight director and sent Rosetta on its way. And I must say I've been very, very proud of the accomplishments of the whole team who've looked after it, and also what the mission has delivered. And today is one of the strangest days ever in this conference room, where there's no stress. It's going to be quiet. Well done, Rosetta and everybody.
Thank you, and back to the control room.
Very much, Jocelyn, and a warm hello to all the veterans over there. Wonderful pictures there in the background. I have here with me now ESA's Director of Science, Álvaro Jiménez. We just said there's no big agitation in the room over there, but Rosetta as a mission, of course, was really, really complex. One of the greatest missions ESA has performed so far. It raised the bar. Have you got anything similar or even bigger in the pipeline already?
Well, of course, we want to do difficult things. That is what we enjoy. This is a challenge, and scientists always want challenges. Otherwise, we have no fun. So we have to really do difficult things, and we are happy with the Rosetta mission. We are preparing now the landing of ExoMars in the coming days, ExoMars 2016, and we are also preparing the new mission to Mercury. That's Bepi Colombo, that will be unique in its performance, and also a mission to the icy moons of Jupiter, which will be for the first time to put a mission orbiting one of the moons of an outer planet, that is Ganymede.
Okay, so you keep everybody here very busy. But all these missions are getting very complex and very expensive. Are those agencies all working together?
Well, that's, of course, the only way to go ahead. We need new challenging missions, and we have to do that in cooperation. We have large cooperations, of course, with traditional partners like NASA, but also with JAXA, with Russia, with Japan, with China. This is the way to do science, and science is the glue for cooperation, because scientists are naturally international. They are there for science, and this is international, and we have to use that as a driver for new mission and new cooperation. We are very happy on this cooperation to go on.
All right, Álvaro Jiménez, thank you so much. And of course, we have about 8 minutes to go until touchdown. That's high time for us to go back to Holger Sirks to see if he has another picture for us.
So I've got just one, and a great one, but to lead you in once more. So this is a context image. So that's the end of the raster, the slewing around the pit D, and from here we'll adjourn for the landing of Rosetta and the final meters. So just to get you a picture also of what the property will be at the very last moment. The closer we get, the smaller the area we image will be. So the image taken at good 1,000 meters at 2 centimeters per pixel is here. You see on one end the ground, the bottom of the pit D, the shadow of the wall, and the upper part, so all the landscape around the pit D. This is really great. It's the first time ever the comet is imaged at this resolution.
Okay, Holger, thank you so much. Of course, as the spacecraft gets closer and closer, the pictures will become more and more blurry, but we do look forward to the very last one that you will share with us later on. But in the meantime, 7 minutes to go. We have to speak to one gentleman who is next to me, the missions, or head of the missions operations department, Paolo Ferri. Now, this is a very strange moment, quiet somewhat here in the main control room. What's going through your mind after all these years taking care of Rosetta?
Yeah, it's always quiet when it's a critical phase, but this is a special one. I think everybody is very sad. On the other hand, the mission end had to come, and I think it's a spectacular way to do it. So we are quite convinced it was the right thing to do.
How will we know that it landed?
Well, for sure, we expect to lose the signal because we programmed the spacecraft such that it switches off the transmitter once it detects somehow that something went wrong and something touched down. We hope to see in the very last seconds of telemetry to see some clear indication, for example, movements of the body of the spacecraft that show that really it has touched down. Rosetta was not designed for touchdown, so we do not have specific sensors for that.
And this is then the end.
That will be definitely the end. We've programmed the spacecraft such that it will not be possible to reactivate it again. We wanted a clean end, and that's the way we hope it's going to happen.
That's the way. And because it's an emotional moment, even though we want a clean end, Paola Ferri, thank you very much. With some less than 6 minutes to go, I think this is a very good moment to stop commenting on anything and just remain silent and let you and the teams watch the touchdown unfold. We'll be back later.
conversations on the briefing room. I don't know if you have had lost expected time. This is another fast landing performance from flight dynamics. So give us a lead for the signal from Rosetta in another 24 hours, but we don't expect any. And so this is the end of the Rosetta mission. Thank you and goodbye.
Here is now Patrick Martin, the Rosetta mission.
It's me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to sit down again. We need to
I
listen
can
to the
confirm
last statement.
the full success of the descent of Rosetta. I declare the mission operations ended for Rosetta. This is the culmination of a tremendous scientific and technical success for this mission, which is thanks to all the engineers and scientists involved, and in particular,
It's not on yet. We haven't got it yet. We do that now. Ich nicht im Bild.
Is it on?
Okay, now we have the mission manager from Rosetta here with us, Patrick Martin.
hello, this is it. I can announce the full success of this historic descent of Rosetta towards 67P, and I declare hereby the mission operations ended for Rosetta. This is a culmination of tremendous scientific and